Let's talk about shame, how we can feel the shame in our body, what it can teach us, and let's find some tools that we can actually put in practice after this podcast. Welcome to Unstuck Minds. I'm Lucia Panzaro. I'm somatic breathing specialist. I'm focusing on trauma release and negative feelings. This episode will be specifically about shame, what we can do with it, how we feel it in our body, how can we handle it, and how can we release it in a safe space. I have here with me Silvia Cosma. She's a co-founder of Thrive Collective and one of my good friends. I'm proud to call her my friend. Welcome, Silvia.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucia. So happy to be here. And I love the introduction that you did. I feel like it sums up the topic of today very well. And
Thank you.
I honestly cannot wait to hear your insights, especially as a somatic specialist and breathwork specialist, especially. I feel like you have a wealth of information to share with the people today. So I'm super excited to get into it.
Thank you. So Silvia is here also to keep me on track because I am also
Yes.
having ADHD and I can easily jump from one subject to another. So thank you for being here and keeping me on track.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting me, first of all, to your podcast. May it be one of very many to come.
Oh, yes, we're planning very many to come.
And Lucia, a few things that I actually had in mind. So, just to set a little bit the expectations for this podcast, we have some questions that the audience already asked us because I know you wrote a really good piece on ADHD and shame, which everybody can read on the Thrive Collective platform. And before we get into those questions, I actually want to learn a little bit more. And I'm hoping you can help the audience also learn a bit more about your own personal experiences as a woman and as an ADHD woman with shame. Where did it first show up for you? And actually, how did you even at first learn about shame? Because I can imagine maybe you didn't have the vocabulary for it, but how did you deal with it in your life?
Well, everything starts in childhood, right? How we were
Mm-hmm.
raised by our parents, by society, by people in school, our friends. So, as a girl, raising with words like, you are too much, you are too loud, be good, be nice, don't express your yeah, owness, no, don't express your excitement because you're
Oh, yeah.
bothering people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if we are
Keep it down.
small, we
Keep it
have
down.
so much excitement and so much joy, and adults are having the tendency to shut us down.
Yes, very true. Whether they want to or not, they tend to do that.
Yeah, true. And this is for girls, and boys also get their shame by when they cry, they are told to don't cry, be a man,
Mm-hmm.
toughen up, you're weak if you're crying. So basically, shame is instilled in us since childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and it's identity related shame. And when you feel that shame inside, you are making yourself small just to be accepted. Because
Mm-hmm.
when we're children, we usually want to be accepted and to belong somewhere.
Yeah,
And
of
because of
course.
these words and because of this behavior towards us as children, we learn that it is not safe to be ourselves, and we
Mm-hmm.
start to have masks so we can be accepted.
Oh, I love that. I love the concept of masks actually, because as kids, of course, we are ourselves. We don't know how to be something else, but then we kind of learn from what we get from our parents, from our teachers, from friends later on in life. Okay, this is good and this is acceptable and this is not. And yet there's still all parts of us, right?
Yes, they're all parts of us that we learn to hide and to keep them aside just to be accepted by parents, by friends, by teachers, by society in general.
Yeah.
And all those parts that we keep hidden, we just keep it, they get into our body.
Mm-hmm.
And along the years, they can get like to physical illnesses.
Oh, that's a super interesting one.
Yeah, because if you don't process what you're feeling, if you don't express it,
Mm-hmm.
then it has nowhere to go but in your body. It gets stored over there.
So your body kind of holds on to it, right?
Yeah,
Until you
yeah.
can release it. Yeah.
And it holds on to it for years and for years
Well,
until you decide to actually look at it and see what's going on there and how you can release it or process it.
when you say for years and years, I have to think about it sounds like you know from your own experience. So can you maybe share a bit how your journey was and how did you even come into, breath work and realizing what it can do for yourself?
Yeah, I realized I had shame held for years from my experience because I was always a very happy child, a very enthusiastic child. And I was always told to grow up, don't be so childish, and keep it for yourself. You're bothering people, shut up. And I had to hide that part of myself, and I felt ashamed when I was expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, when I got like around 12, 13 years, it wasn't enough. They could have stopped doing that because I already had that ingrained in my mind and in my behavior so much that I didn't need external people to tell me that. I was telling that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I was like a little more childish and some people were looking at me weird, then I was like feeling ashamed of being myself. And
You
then I
already
had
knew it.
to, yes, and I had to minimize myself and put everything down.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that. And since I started with breath work, I saw that it helps me to be more myself, to not care about what other people say or think or how they look at me. I just basically gave myself permission to be me, no matter how loud, no matter how excited, no matter how happy. I'm like, "Yeah, it is what it is. I want to do this. I want to be myself, and I cannot do it unless I allow myself to do it."
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love, basically giving yourself permission to be yourself in the end, which I think is wonderful.
Yes, but and we most of the time we wait for this type of permission from people outside of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true.
And most people, they don't give us this permission, so we still keep it there. So we still keep it and hide it, and then we're wondering why people don't like us, because
Mm-hmm.
when you are yourself and you release all that shame, you are magnetic. You are so
Cool. I love that.
magnetic that you attract the right people. When you set boundaries and you allow yourself to be as
Mm-hmm.
you are magnetic to the right people to come into your life.
Oh, I love thinking about that and hearing that, and especially thinking of the right people, because you can probably attract a lot of people in your life, but they will not be necessarily the right ones or the ones that get you for your unique self, let's call it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm also curious, because I know this topic of shame, as you also wrote in the article, and as we also heard from people in our community, it's especially relevant. Like, of course, everybody experiences shame, but it's especially relevant for people with ADHD. So, can you maybe also share a little bit of that specific angle? What do you feel made it even stronger for you?
Because people with ADHD feel very, very strong.
Mm,
They feel everything, every word, every look, every different tonality. They feel it, and it's so intense that it affects you mentally even more and emotionally than
mhm.
people that don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
So with ADHD, you tend to overthink, you tend to analyze every word, every
Mhm.
tonality, every look.
Everything
And
is something.
yeah, and once you start doing this, it's going on a loop and you're overthinking everything. And that's why you cannot really, I mean, you can, but it's more difficult for people with
Yeah.
ADHD to be aware of the negative feelings, to be aware of their impulses, and to stop them in time.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that, so just because I know a lot of the people who engage with your article and who well are expecting some answers actually from us today. I know a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
them also have ADHD. So I'm curious to hear through that lens and especially through your own practice of breath work, if you'd like to dive into a few of the questions that we got from the audience.
Yes, definitely. I would love that.
Okay, amazing. So I have here a question from Madhavi Glick, who is asking, well, first of all, what is your breathwork style? Because there are many different kind of breathwork styles that you can do. So she's wondering, do you do a fast, a slow one? How do you practice it? And then also details about your breathwork ceremonies. Like, what do you actually do in your breathwork ceremonies?
Well, my breath work is focused on releasing hidden emotions. That means it's a specific type of breath work that brings to the surface. It's a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
I have some music with usually drums are helping you getting to that subconscious, to access your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I have three types of breath works. First one is breathing in through the mouth and out through the mouth. And with that type of music, and I have also some script that helps you release exactly what it needs to get to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally helps you access your subconscious mind and bring it to the surface
Okay.
in a safe space, somewhere where you can feel safe. You can allow yourself to do that without fear of judgment or people looking at you. We will do
Mm-hmm.
it somewhere privately. And then we have a breath hold.
Mm-hmm.
And at that breath hold, we allow the feelings to rise up and to just feel them, no judgment, to just feel anything that comes to the surface. And at the end, we have another type of breathing, which is in through the nose and out through the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And here we rewire everything. We think about what feelings we want to feel more of, more love, more confidence, more power.
Cool
You're
stuff.
literally getting into your body, you're feeling your body, you feel where the emotions feel in your body, you feel
Mm-hmm.
how they feel into your body, so you know the next time they come up how it feels, so you can stop in time. And we're making space for all these juicy new feelings.
I love that. I also love the fact that you're saying, then next time when they show up in your body what it is, because I feel a lot of times, and this is also from my personal experience, through my own healing journey, a lot of times I would have like so many emotions coming out at the same time. I could never pinpoint what it was. But then through working with myself, I could learn, like, okay, this is what it means actually. So, maybe it shows up as anger, but it's not actually anger, it's fear, or it's rejection, or it's grief, or so on.
It can be multiple feelings underneath. So it
Mm-hmm.
shows up as anger, but until the anger, it can be resentment, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
anger is, right? Multiple resentment that wasn't
Yeah,
spoken.
stacked up.
Yeah, stacked one on top of each other, and then you just go boom
Yep.
and you explode. So it can be that. It can be also fear of rejection, of abandonment, or
Mm-hmm.
there can be a lot of layers under like one big feeling. So that's why I'm saying, if you observe yourself when the feeling comes up, then
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly which feeling is it, and you can start asking yourself questions, so you can lower the feeling. When you ask yourself questions, the brain
Mm-hmm.
starts to work, and the feeling is lowering. It's just
Mm-hmm.
calming down.
I love that. And actually, I think this goes into the next question quite well. So, Tall Rabbit One says, I struggle to formulate the questions that I need to ask to find the right answers through, like logic or through my brain alone. So, what are some things that if we all knew or saw could help us in different parts of our lives? What are we not seeing, basically?
What we don't see, how much a dysregulated nervous system can affect our decisions, our habits, our way of life, our environment. It can be at work, it can be at family, it can be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And a dysregulated nervous system is easier to control, to manipulate, to influence.
Yeah.
So basically, when you have dysregulated nervous system, you are not controlling your emotions. You are not asking what is happening. You just impulsively let them out.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's like this, you cannot make the right decision when you're in emotional turmoil.
True.
So I heard a saying from one of the guys I'm following on YouTube that says, when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Oh, that's a very good one.
And every time I get very angry or I feel this kind of strong emotions,
Hmm.
I always remind myself of this because it helps a lot. When you are very angry or in fight or flight or anxious, you
Yeah.
are not able to take the right decisions for yourself and others. You're just taking them impulsively, and that can go to different consequences that might not be very good for you or others.
Yeah, true. True, because it's not about, right, wrong, bad, good, but about what do you want your life to look like and how can you actually help it? And I think, again, this falls very well into the next question. So, how can we have a healthier life or a better life closer to what we want it to be? What should we know about how our brain is working, how our body is working, and where does shame actually play into all of this? Because maybe a lot of us don't even know we have shame, but we still act from it.
Yeah, especially the shame related to identity. Because if you feel that you're not good enough or you're not worthy and you're ashamed of your thoughts, your behaviors, what you are doing, automatically it impacts your decisions. And that type of shame usually it's stored in the upper part of the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically literally feel like some heaviness on that part of the stomach when you feel
Mm-hmm.
ashamed of yourself. And how we can live a better life, awareness from my point of view, it's the first step to be
Yeah.
aware of exactly what you're feeling. Name it out loud. Once you name it out loud, it automatically also dissociate the feeling from the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you can observe your body and observe what you feel and breathe into it to calm it down, to keep it under control, the more your life gets better, because then you don't react straight away, you don't explode, you avoid some negative consequences from that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And automatically, once you cool down your emotions and you think like objectively, let's say without emotions implied, then definitely you're making better decisions and you live a better life.
Yeah. So it's very much about also responding, not so much reacting in the moment.
Yes, and that's not easy for a person with ADHD because impulsivity is one of the biggest things that ADHD people have. They cannot catch
100%.
themselves in time, so they literally explode. They realize after, and then the shame comes because they are sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say the right things, or they hurt someone, and it just goes spiraling
Spirals, right?
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe here I'd like to take a break from the questions a little bit to go back into your own experience, let's say. How
Okay.
did you manage to, I don't know, make that a little bit less heavy for you or like less present for you? Or have you found any sort of tools that you can share with the audience in terms of breath work or in terms of other, ideas that they can apply for themselves when that moment comes, when the shame hits, basically?
When the shame hits, basically you just need to sit with it, because
Ooh,
it doesn't matter if you understand it, the body doesn't understand it, the body just feels it.
feels
So
it.
basically you need to sit with that shame and breathe through it. The longer the exhales, the more it sends signals to your nervous system that you are safe. Bonus point, if you put the hand on your heart or on
Yeah.
the part of your body that you feel that heaviness, and you tell yourself that you are safe.
Mm-hmm.
And after 5 minutes, let's say, of breathing like that, the longer the exhale, your body will start calming down and feel safer. And then basically you get to the balance point that you need to be.
No, I love that. That's actually a super actionable thing that we can all try. I think after this podcast, the next moment we feel the need for it.
Yeah, that would be great.
And actually, because we keep talking about, how shame shows up and how it kind of trips us up, basically. But I do have a question here from Cheryl Stoller, and it was also in my mind. The shame. serve a sort of good purpose at some point? Like, is it related when it starts maybe to that survival that you're mentioning? Is it part of some belonging? I don't know, residual emotional connection that we have in our brains. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, shame teaches us when we are stepping the boundary with the
Mm-hmm.
person that we care about. It tells us stop. You need to stop. You're not doing, you're ruining the relationship, you're ruining the environment, you're ruining something that matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
So shame can be very useful if you see the moments that it comes up and you ask yourself, why did the shame come up? From where is it? When did I feel it the first time? Is it even mine? Because most of the times we carry feelings that are not even ours. So if a person shames you for who you are, you shouldn't even be ashamed of that because you know who you are. And
Is it maybe also that, and sorry to be jumping in here, but I'm wondering, is it something that was maybe useful for us once? So, as you say, as kids, you learn to kind of survive based on it. And then it's something that we need to learn to let go of as adults, or as you say, it still serves a certain role, just don't let it overtake your life, basically.
yeah, it was basically a survival mechanism. In ancient times when we were in tribes and
Mm-hmm.
we were doing something wrong, we needed to stop that behavior so we can still belong to that tribe, let's say, yeah.
Yeah. Not be
Because
left
in
out in
ancient
the woods.
times, if you didn't have a tribe in ancient times, you were dying.
Yeah.
So basically, that's definitely what our reptilian brain is trying to keep
Mm-hmm.
us safe
Mm-hmm.
from, because our brain still thinks if we are ashamed, it protects us and we can belong somewhere, so we are not dying.
Yeah, we're not rejected, we're not left alone, we're not dying.
Yes, yes. And yeah, we learn this in childhood. We learn that if we are ashamed, we have to correct our behavior. If we don't correct it, that we will have some consequences that we don't want,
Mm-hmm.
we don't like, we won't be loved, we won't be accepted, we won't get attention or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we can let go with this in time. As
Mm-hmm.
long as we practice breathing every time it shows up, just breathe into it. You don't have to do anything else, just sit with it and breathe it. And at one point, it will go by itself. You don't have to do anything
Hmm.
because the body learns to feel the shame, and it also learns that it's still safe even if you feel that shame.
Oh, I love that. So basically, I can feel this, and it doesn't mean I'm dying. Like, it doesn't mean I'm
Exactly.
wrong. I can still survive.
Yes.
Super good. I hope whoever is listening to us is taking notes right now because this is super valuable information. And now if you go a little bit, so in the opposite direction. So some people with ADHD, for example, feel that spiraling and feel that, buzzing in their brain when they're trying to sleep or trying to relax, and they can't because they're just overthinking and maybe reliving some bad moments. Like, for example, I see a comment from Brita Ferkauter who is asking, if I'm trying to sleep and I keep reliving those moments, is it an impulsive reaction? Is it tied to ADHD? And I guess there's also an implied question of what can you do in those moments?
Yeah, it's definitely tied to ADHD because ADHD brain tends to focus a lot, especially on the negative feelings or negative situations,
Mm-hmm.
and it replays in the brain and over again. And when you find yourself like this, that you are overthinking, you need to bring yourself into present moment.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Focus on what you see, what you feel. Just usually, what brings you into the present moment is to feel something cold on your
Okay.
face. So you just wash your face with cold water or put some
Mm-hmm.
ice cube on your face. That automatically brings you into the present moment. This is one of them. Second, you can try with breath work. It doesn't work all the time with breath work with this.
In that specific moment.
Yes, because what we need to do is just literally let it pass and observe
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. what is repeating? Why is it repeating? You can also start to ask yourself questions. As I mentioned before, if you ask yourself questions, automatically the feeling lowers,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot be in the feeling, whatever feeling you have, and think about the answers in the same time.
Ah, okay. So it kind of takes you out of being overwhelmed by that feeling.
Yes, yes. So if you ask yourself the right questions, so if you're overthinking about a situation where you felt ashamed and your mind replays like, oh, why did I do that? I should have done that. What I should have done,
Very
but I didn't
relatable.
say it. I didn't do it. This happens a lot to people with ADHD. And at this point, when you find yourself, you're spiraling like that,
Yeah, yeah.
you can ask yourself, okay, what happened actually? How
Hmm.
true is this, that what I'm thinking? Because most of the time thoughts are just information that are not facts. And I know it's not easy, but with practice and with time, you can manage to calm your overthinking thoughts, or you also can distract them.
Mm-hmm.
Think about something else, like do something and focus on exactly what you're doing. When I have like this spiraling thoughts, workout helps me a lot.
Okay.
Workout, music, because when you're working out or you're running, you literally don't have time to think of stuff. You're
Yeah.
focusing on what you're literally doing physically to do it properly, right?
Yeah.
So then automatically the mind stops, it goes blank, and you're
Mm-hmm.
focusing on what you're doing.
Super good one. And actually, I see here a question from Sarah Grutman, speaking of music. So she's asking, how can we reset our vagus nerve? Guided meditation or music like Able Heart, I see she mentions here. So what are some methods that you found are quite useful?
Well, the vagus nerve, it's used to boring stuff like humming, breathing longer, exhaling as long as you can. Usually, what I found that to exhale longer is like you take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, you're like,
My breath is done. I was doing it
and
with you, but my breath is
yeah,
out.
yeah, I saw that. So when you're doing this with this sound, it literally slows your breath down even more.
Wow.
And the longer the exhale is, the more you signal to your nervous system that you are safe. And when you feel
Mhm.
safe, you don't have any reason to overthink or think bad things
True.
about you or stuff like that.
Yeah. No threat is coming, basically. You're safe.
Exactly. Once you feel safe in your own body, then you don't have any reason to feel threatened.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a deep one. That's one to think on or to feel on, better said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what if, because I know we all have, busy lives, and it's not always easy to make this time for ourselves, even though, of course, a breath can take only a few seconds, but it's also, I guess, getting into that habit. So, for example, Kate is one of the listeners who was wondering what's the best way that you can check in with yourself and like really listen to your body's needs when you have a busy life and you have a full-time job and everything else that you're trying to balance. What are like a couple of things you can do?
Oh, I resonate a lot with this question because I also had a very busy life. I was always on the run. When I was sitting for 5 minutes, I felt guilty for not doing anything.
You're being
So,
unproductive.
yeah, exactly. I felt that I am not productive and I'm not doing anything that matters for me. So, the best advice I can give here is find a quiet place for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes with no people around, no distractions, and
Hmm.
try to sit in stillness, in silence. Observe the wind on your face, the birds singing, what you hear, what you see, what you feel.
Hmm.
Literally put your hands on the ground or on objects that you have over there and focus on the sensations. And once you do that, the same, because when you are always in the doing mode, you will have the tendency to fill up something that you
Hmm.
don't want to actually feel. So basically, you're hiding, you're
Yeah.
distracting yourself from stuff that you don't want to feel because you don't want to look at them. And when you're taking those 5 minutes of stillness, they might start to show up.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, clarity can show up. In those moments of stillness, clarity usually shows up. You will have overthinking thoughts a period of time if it's longer than 5 minutes. And after that, the clarity will come. You will know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, what you have to say. You can organize things in your mind better because ADHD have like a very busy mind with 100 thoughts at the same time on 100 different subjects, and you don't even know what to look at it, and that gets you already exhausted. So when you find that 5 minutes and you focus on just being present, only being without doing, we're called human beings, not human doings.
Yeah. Very good one.
So I have learned to stay in this type of stillness. If you cannot stand still, as I mentioned, start asking yourself questions. Why do you feel pressure or stress, or what do you feel? Just name it out loud. As I mentioned before, when you name them out loud, it kind of dissociates the feeling from you.
Yeah,
And
it's not who you are anymore, right? It's what you feel in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So when you start asking yourself questions like, why do I feel pressure? Does someone else puts pressure on me, or I do put pressure on me? If it's me, why do I put pressure on me? Maybe I have plenty of time actually, but I don't see it because I am very pressured and stressed, and I don't see that.
Yeah.
So a lot of inner questions and reflection moments help you a lot in a busy life.
So actually, this brings me quite naturally to the next question. So when you say, you feel pressure, maybe you feel like, okay, there's a lot of things I need to do, and especially with an ADHD brain. Raluca is asking, okay, as an ADHD person, how can I better focus on one thing at a time so I know I can finish at least one thing out of those hundreds that are running through my mind?
Oh, I have this a lot also. I like so many things and I want to do so many things at once in the same time. And I get to procrastinate and do nothing. So basically, what I am doing before sitting and doing that thing, I have to decide which thing I want to do first.
Okay.
So I have to prioritize, yes, from all those things. I'm thinking of prioritizing which one matters to me, which one helps me with something that I need, if it gets me closer to where I want to get. The second thing is I am taking out all distractions. I'm putting my phone on silent. I put it in another room or with face down so I won't see the notifications. And the thing is that it's difficult for me to start, no matter what it is. So in this case, you just tell yourself just 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
set 5 minutes for
exactly. You're setting in your mind, okay, just 5 minutes. And once you start it, your brain will hyper focus because you're an ADHDer, and it starts to hyper focus, and you will forget to get up.
Okay. So it's all about, getting started, and then you will actually probably do more than you initially imagined, right?
Yes, definitely. And also, when you get tired, you notice that you get tired, give yourself the time to take the break.
Super
But it's
important.
Definitely. And it's good if you can manage to do it in one go. If you manage to do it in one go without getting tired, then you literally have that thing done. But if you are not able to, and it's a big thing, the best thing is you can make it in multiple smaller things and take them one by one.
So just break it up into chunks, basically, and then you also give yourself a win, right? So I've closed this one, it's done, win, I can move on.
Yes, exactly. And when you notice that it's done, the dopamine is high, and you're like, hey, I've done this. Okay, let's get to the next. Then you are excited to go to the next thing.
Super nice one. And then speaking of dopamine, because of course dopamine, the brain is still part of the body, even though sometimes we just put our logic into it and not the body feeling. I'm also mindful of the time and we don't have a lot left. So I do want to close with a question that Marcin Klosinski asked in terms of, again, looking at shame. How does it manifest in our bodies? How can we kind of spot a few ways that we can think, okay, maybe this is actually shame showing up in this pain or in this ache? What are some areas that we can pay attention to?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, it's the upper part of the stomach that is
Mm-hmm.
identity shame. You feel it like a weight or something pressuring on you. It can
Mm-hmm.
be just in front or also on the back in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
Then for women, it's a shame of sexuality, of expressing ourselves, of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That one gets stored in the hips and pelvis. When you have your hips tight, you have
Mm-hmm.
tight hips or
Tight
you have
hips,
pain
yeah.
in hips, then you know that that is shame stored regarding how you see yourself as a woman. If you wanted to be creative and you wasn't allowed to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
that also gets over there. It can also be in the throat, like a knot in the throat. And it's very uncomfortable because I have this a lot. This is shame when you spoke up when you were a
Mm-hmm.
child and you were shut off.
Yeah.
You could literally say the words that you wanted to say. Then it gets stored in the throat because you weren't allowed to express yourself vocally. And it also gets in the back of the neck and the shoulders, upper part of the shoulders. When people shame you for you, also, you have the tendency to make yourself small and to scrunch
Mm,
yourself,
yeah, yeah. You scrunch into yourself.
Yes. And usually, when you have this type of heaviness or pain or tightness, you just put the hand on that part of the body that you
Yeah.
have and take deep breaths in it. So every time you breathe in and out, you think about that organ and or part of the body and you're telling it that it is safe. Every time your body needs to feel safe in that shame and it needs to know that it's allowed to feel shame and the shame is recognized and acknowledged and it's not thrown away like you
Yeah.
reject. You need to
Yeah.
accept it and embrace it because the more feelings of shame, especially if they are accepted and embraced, they will just literally go by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself the time to feel into it, to accept it, to breathe into it, and then it will all go away or it will at least loosen up. After a few breaths, you can notice how your body feels if the pain moved or if the
Mm-hmm.
tightness loosened up, and then you know that you're doing a good job, that is working.
I love this so much. And I feel like this is a great note to be rounding up at least this episode of the podcast on, because it's really about allowing, being, and not rejecting any parts of yourself, even or especially the ones that feel shame and that actually need acceptance and love.
Yeah, definitely, because we all need to, if we don't accept and love ourselves, how can we expect the same from others?
100%. Yeah.
So basically, it teaches us to love ourselves more, our body, our organs, and everything they tell us.
Love that so much. Well, Lucia, thank you so much for for answering all of the questions that we received from our audience before. And for those of you who I know also asked some questions and maybe you didn't hear them on air, please know that Lucia has still prepared some answers for you. And I'm just going to say where people can find you, if that's okay. So your Instagram profile.
Yeah.
And that's at Lucia Lavinia 5. So LuciaLavinia 5, Lucia Lavinia 5. And we'll also, of course, be sharing them on the thrivecollective.com